Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in for our Burnley versus Liverpool pre-match build-up show. I'm joined by a very special guest, good, a massive supporter of my channel as well. Dan, thank you very much for coming on, mate.
No, thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, it's obviously is a pre-recorded show, so obviously both teams. What day? The 10th of February we recorded this. So if anything changes and you come on smart ass on the video, going, "Oh, that player's injured," and that. It's all right. Just prior warning because I know what some of these are like anyway. But Dan, thank you very much for coming on, mate. And we'll get straight into it in relation to Burnley's season. We'll start off. How have the Clarets started this year, mate?
They started the same as they ended last season, to be fair, and it were pretty poor. We kept taking 1-0 leads in games and then chucking them away. We did it back end of last season against Newcastle, went 1-0 up. They brought St. Maximum on, changed the game, we lost 2-1. Went 1-0 up at Southampton, lost that 2-1. Opening day of the season, went 1-0 up, lost 2-1 to Brighton, pretty much. And then, a couple of games in, the nemesis a lot across Stanley Park. Everton, they ended up popping 3 past us in 6 minutes after going 1-0 up at Goodison. So it's not been the best. I mean, we've been a bit of a different animal this season. We've not been that anti-football, hoofball rugby team that people expect. We've been more of trying to get the ball down, adapting to the league. And you can't do that. When you've got a bunch of 35-plus-year-olds who's been used to, for the last 6 to 7 years, playing hoofball and not much being as active and playing tiki-taka and stuff. You don't associate a Burnley side with tiki-taka football. However, we saw it in the second half against United the other night. But
I was going to say, mate, why is Dych gone about that in terms of changing his approach? Is it being obviously the results you've mentioned there? Is it in terms of his psychological approach to games? Is that someone from above the board in terms of trying to play like a more expansive brand, or is it just Dyche's
yeah,
thinking?
I think it's a mix of both. I think Alan Pace has come in and said that he wants. I think a lot of players probably are reserved about coming to Burnley because they have this. There's a stigma that we are literally just one-dimensional and that's it, and we can't change. However, if we change our tune and we can bring players in from abroad, which we're not used to, especially when people label us Brexit FC, we've got to sort of change that stigma, bring in these foreign players, and we're actually starting to do that. The signing of Weghorst and Cornet coming in as well in the summer, that were 2 brilliant pieces of business in my opinion. However, we need it more in abundance, but we're not going to get that if we don't stay up. But yeah, the season so far, it started pretty naff, but it's that second half of the season now, and this is where Burnley start to put a run together and pick up some points. However, I'm very sceptical this year. Very, very sceptical.
Yeah, spot on there, mate. And in terms of, we'll speak about it. We'll lead us on to the next question now, is mate, in relation to your expectations. I think you just kind of glossed over there, mate. But obviously going into the Liverpool game in terms of obviously the mad period in which you do find most clubs do find themselves in the next couple of weeks, like playing literally every 3-4 days a week. How would you foresee in terms of the Liverpool result going and then past that, hopefully?
I mean, after what I've seen from Burnley this year, there's been no passion, no fight, no endeavour to get forward. We look like a team that's already been defeated before we've kicked a ball. And it's only, for me, there's only been 2 times I've seen us play with a bit of passion this season, and that was the point we stole at the Emirates a couple of weeks back, and the point we got against Man United at the Turf a couple of days ago. So, and even then, it was just a mad 45 minutes. We got lucky in a sense, but we played with something that I've wanted us to play with for the rest of the season. We can accept going down. We can accept going down, but the manner in which we are dropping is the icing, is just the tip of the iceberg, and that's why people are starting to maybe ask questions about Dych, ask questions about the players. We didn't strengthen as much as we should have done. We're 2 bodies light in midfield, and the expectation has to be obviously staying in the division. But when you see teams like Newcastle, who let's just have it as it is, have bought their way out of it. Norwich, I can't say they've bought their way out of it. They've started to find their feet, and you can't take that away from them. Everton, is it going to work with Frank Lampard? You don't know.
Go down. Everyone on our channel will be open.
I know. I hope they do. I hope they do because they've never been relegated, and I want them to go down. When my stepdad being a Blue as well, I can just be like, hey, have some of that.
You won't be allowed around to his house.
But it's been a tough one. As I thought, last season was tough because there were no fans in stadiums, and I thought when the fans are back, being that 12th man, the Turf Moor crowd behind them, we'll be rocking and we'll do pretty well this year. And it's completely gone the opposite way. So staying up has got to be the key. However, I just think it's, as Jojo said once in probably 2004, it's just too little too late.
Yeah, as you alluded, spot on there, mate. As you touched on a bit before as well, mate. Obviously, we've seen Stoke, obviously very reminiscent. I think they brought a load of Spanish players in, Bojan from Barca to Stoke, and obviously they did very much change their image. Come the end of the season, could Sean Dyche be bringing it upon himself? It's difficult, as you've alluded to there, mate. A lot of teams down in the bottom and trying to please both parties in relation in terms of playing a very nice, attractive, expansive game of football. But as you mentioned, there's quite a lot of older players in most teams in the Premier League, but Burnley have got probably one of the oldest squads in the league. And do you think if you hopefully as you survive in terms of Burnley, but would it be absolute madness to foresee end of season or even in the next couple of months when the pressure does get more put on? Obviously, Dych he's probably one of the longest serving managers in the Premier League, isn't he, mate?
He is, yeah. He is the longest serving in the Premier League, and he's third in the all-time of English football at the minute. Yeah,
so like we've seen with obviously Watford changed their managers, but you've seen teams go down to the obviously lower divisions. He's have tried for so many years to get in the position in which he's are now. Do you ever see in the next couple of months Burnley taking that drastic action in relation to potentially sacking Dych?
If they do, I think it'll be a very, very, very silly move. I mean, they've just backed him with a 4-year contract. The chance, the fact that if we go down, that's also a loss of around 60 million in terms of revenue and things like that, TV rights. Yeah. So you're basically looking at making a lot of money in terms of losses. However, you're then also expecting to recuperate that when you sell your big players that aren't going to want to play in the Championship. Your likes of Cornet, McNeil, Pope, Tarkowski's going on a free anyway at the end of the season. I don't expect him to sign a new deal. But I agree with what you're saying, that the league's changing and we have to adapt to that. We have to be able to play a bit more expansive and a bit more on the front foot, get in people's faces and things like that. But it's that time of the season where we need to start
getting results.
Yeah, we go back to if it means that we're saving our arse by going back to the basics and having to play a long ball. It's ugly. It's horrible. None of us liked it, but it got results, and it sort of became the Burnley way. We didn't expect to turn up and see an absolute masterclass, but that's why when them ones happen, where you get a 3 or 4-0 in Burnley's favour, you're like, whoa, what's all that about?
Yeah.
But the fact that now we're almost like the draw specialists in the Premier League at the minute, and it's about turning those points into wins, and that's the worrying thing. I think you're asking too much of an aging squad to adapt to playing a different style of play now, and fingers crossed it works eventually. But I think even if we did go down, I don't think we've got a squad capable enough of going back up, because the physicality of the Championship will just take too much out of them. However, I do believe Dash would be the man to take us back up.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there, mate. And that's the beauty of football, and it makes use of beat us in recent seasons. And obviously, Atletico Madrid play a certain way in Spain. That's the beauty of football up and down the country. it's and we did you gloss over there, mate. It's the modern day football, and I think every fan wants to play like a Liverpool or City, but not everyone has got the resources, especially Norwich and Burnley as well, or like teams lower down, even teams in the Championship. Unless you get bought out by like a big massive oil by a state, basically. I think in the next 50 years, you literally will have to be owned by a country to be in the Premier League and to be able to survive, that's another show in another day anyway, mate. But fingers crossed, mate. And I think I'm pretty sure Dych, he's very much experienced, as you alluded to there, mate. He will get you out of the mire in relation to us, and I think. It'll be interesting to see post this game, or if you can get a win against Liverpool, that could, fingers crossed for you, propel you in terms of getting a bit more consistent in terms of the weeks to come. But we'll go on to the next one, mate, as well. Who obviously are your star players, and who do Liverpool need to deal with in terms of this? Obviously, you mentioned Weghorst, Cornet. Has he been playing left back or right wing, left wing? In relation to
he's been utilised more as a winger, and sometimes he's also been sort of a shadow striker, like a false nine. When he was there with Chris Wood, I think he's been pushed back a bit more to, I don't know, more like an inside forward sort of now. In the way that Dych is trying to play, I'd say he's more of like an inside forward, but. It's mad to think that we've brought this guy in who's a left back from Lyon and turned him into this winger that scores goals. And I mean, it's a good bit of business, of course it is, but we need that to continue. He's definitely been a standout player as Cornet. How our chairman managed to travel to France and sell Burnley Football Club to this player that was playing Champions League football, I do not know. I really do not know. I mean, for me, I can't believe I'm saying this about a Burnley player, but money must talk.
It was Orsic as well, mate. I remember speaking to you a couple of weeks ago on the transfer deadline. Obviously, that's what we admire. Like, obviously, people running your football club, the same people within every club.
We're being linked with names that we never thought we'd ever be linked with. You know, even the talk of Aaron Ramsey. I know he's buggered off to Rangers for one final payday probably and to win a trophy because he weren't going to get that at Arsenal, were he? But however, he turned us down, and I think that's pretty much probably because he probably had this idea in his head of, I don't want to be in a relegation scrap. So I get that. I totally get that. His age is against him anyway. We don't want another one to add to retirement centre. You know, it's like they're doing old people's homes, isn't it? One snuffs it and that's it. Another one's in to replace.
Right. Me and you have been there down in about a couple of years.
Reeking a piss. But it's just one of them where we need to change, and the fact that we're looking abroad instead of just looking at teams at the end of our noses, then that for me is a good sign. However, for me the January window was bad. We should have had a plan B, a plan C. The Orsic deal. He was set to join.
Yeah,
he'd said yeah. He'd come out, said, yeah, I'm, and even if you go down, I'm willing to fight and get you back up. He was willing to do it all. And just because some mindless idiots in them foreign countries that are like, no, don't leave, we'll kill your family and all this stuff. Next minute, he's like, oh, no, sorry. It just goes to show that they really love me here. Oh, they really love you. That and the fact that your arse fell out because, well, I mean, your family were forced to basically stay. Which I think is wrong, but at the end of the day, it's his choice, and I think he would have been the perfect cam player that we needed. Yeah. But in terms of star players, Weghorst, I know he's only had 2 games.
The one against how Dych is going to implement him in those. I know it's very short time, but
yeah, he's sort of going to be very similar to Chris Wood. On the shoulder of the last defender. I think he's going to try and model him in that way. I hope not as such because. I don't know, the game against Man United in the second half, it was almost reminiscent of Harry Kane in the terms of he dropped back into midfield and then got back forward. Yeah. This guy is 6'6", built like a brick shithouse. He's flaming. He's like Chris Wood, but with a left and a right foot.
He's got a lot of goals in the Bundesliga as well.
He has. I mean, that's what I mean. You don't score 20 plus goals a season in the Bundesliga and I mean, what a steal, what a price.
Mm.
For Newcastle to think they've weakened us by taking Chris Wood and then we
Just
go
got
and
the
sign
better deal.
Weghorst. It's like, and still 13 million in the back pocket as well. It's just like madness. Because at first I was sick. I did feel a bit sick at the fact that we've lost our main striker, and it worried me. It killed me. And then I thought, 25 million, that's nothing. That's peanuts. We paid 15 for him. But then you look at Luca Dean leaving Everton for the same amount of money, and you're thinking, hold on, he's been a standout player for Everton. In fact, he's probably been one of Everton's best players, and he's gone to Villa for the same price we've just got for a 30-year-old with a return of 3 goals this season. And he won't get the service at Newcastle because their wingers like to cut in and have pot shots.
Yeah.
So, Chris Wood's going to be in his comfort zone again with his, snuggled up with the offside flag as usual. And we're going to benefit, I hope. But yeah, we saw it against Man United, the class that Weghorst has. I mean, for the goal, just to literally turn Harry Maguire to make him cuddle Scott McTominay and pretty much then find the pass for Rodriguez. I was just like, whoa, like, how the hell have you got that in your locker? Like, nobody at Burnley's ever had that in the locker. Probably like a dead pig's head, probably, is like a practical joke or something. But no, absolute madness. And I think he and Cornet, if they are both fit, and McNeil, in a sense, McNeil's infuriating a couple of Burnley players this year. Burnley fans this year. He's it's almost like he picks and chooses his games to step up. So I think that'll be why if he doesn't get a move away, that'll be the reason why, because he's not consistent enough. But yeah, I'd say if you need to deal with anyone, I'm looking forward to seeing Van Dijk against Weghorst. I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, he'd probably do a better job than bloody Lukaku plays against him. But yeah, he's a terrible striker. I'm pretty sure you got the better deal than Chelsea. I'll tell you what, like, he had none of it. But I've watched him a couple of seasons. Obviously, not all the games for obviously when he played for Wolfsburg, but seeing clips of him, he's got like easy 15, 20 goals for like not just one season, but for a couple of seasons, mate. But if Burnley, as we were alluding to at the top of the show, mate, if Burnley are to survive, I think he'll play a very much massive part, him and Cornet. I think, didn't Cornet for the AFCON? Did he go to the AFCON? Did he play him through the middle as a striker? Oh, no, am I thinking about Traore? I might be another player.
You might be. I mean, I know he did go to AFCON. He played in the game against Egypt where they got knocked out. I don't think that went to penalties. I think, didn't it? I think.
I think so.
I
think I might be thinking of someone else.
Yeah, I think he did, because he stepped up, scored his penalty. But yeah, it was a catch-22. It was like, we want to see you do well, Maxwell. We want to see you bring AFCON back, and it's like, a Burnley players won AFCON. However, we were like, shit, we've got Watford coming up. We could do with you coming back. So. As soon as he might as well have been at AFCON, because nobody turned up against Watford. We were dire that day.
Yeah, no, we were like that with Mane and Salah, mate. We were just like praying, don't get injured. Like, obviously, but yeah, spot on there, mate. Thank you very much. How will, obviously, Sean approach this game? As you mentioned, do you think he, as you touched on the top of the show, will go back to basics and very much frustrate Liverpool? Because your model in terms of recent results, when you have got a very good positive result, is worked. It's our kryptonite when we do play against yous. How do you feel Dych will approach this specific game?
I think he'll try to be expansive in the first half. He'll try to take the game to Liverpool. I just think that's where it'll cost us, because you guys are good at then intercepting, getting on the front foot, counter with your the fast-paced wingers and stuff. It'll be an interesting game, because I don't know how it'll be for Burnley actually playing that sort of way against Liverpool. Klopp will be used to this hard-fought, low-block team and he may not get that. However, I think Dych needs to do a mix of both. Mix a bit of the low blocking with a bit of hoofball, but a bit of tiki-taka here and there. If he can get the balance of all three perfect, then we've got the signs of a really good club that could potentially stay up. However, I can't base the fact of we had a really good 45 against Man United. If I base the rest of the season on that 45, then we're staying up.
Yeah.
But we need that fight in every single game, and we've not seen it consistently enough. So he'll approach it to begin with probably trying to get on the front foot, try and nick a goal early. And if it don't play off, it's almost like we'll slowly have 11 men behind the ball.
Yeah, no, spot on there, mate. It's intriguing, especially running down the channels as well. I think even teams, not just when teams play Liverpool, but even City. I don't know if you feel the same, but when you watch City or like teams against us, you're like, not many teams have a go. And like I've seen like the Brentford game, don't even seen the highlights when we played them away. If you throw players at the back post or like overload certain sides of the pitch, you can very much. Not just Liverpool, but the top teams. It's bad. If you have to put players forward, it can cause issues and just put men in terms of the box and just frustrate teams. But spot on there, La. We'll go on to obviously team selection. And everyone, as he says on the show, there might be some injuries, but we'll ask what Dan thinks anyway in terms of his starting 11. Dan, who would you like Dych to very much select, and obviously formation-wise against Liverpool?
I think he's got to go with the same 11 that played against Man United. I think if he can, you want to keep that side going. The fact that they played well that second half, they played like a team, they played like they'd played with each other for their whole careers, to be honest with you. They threw themselves on the line, this tiki-taka stuff, playing one-touch football. So I'm going to go Pope in goal, Connor Roberts at right back, Tarkowski and me at centre-back, Eric Peters on the left. I know Charlie Taylor's due to be back from injury soon, but it may just be that the game on Sunday is a bit before him.
Yeah, there you go, mate. Something similar to that, mate, yeah? Is it?
Yeah, very, very similar to that. I just think that Weghorst and Rodriguez grew into the game together as a partnership, which is absolutely strange. But it's the partnership we need. We're screaming out for something. So I'll take anything I can get. But yeah, that's pretty much the team nailed on there. I think if you're going to change anything, I'd potentially... It could potentially be that Eric Peters is out and Charlie Taylor comes back in if he's fit enough.
Yeah, spot on there, mate.
Ashley Barnes is back as well, though. I don't know whether he wants to. He's back from injury. He came on for a good 10-minute cameo and did naff all. But
well, he's another one in terms of goals, mate. Obviously, I think even Aaron Lennon, I know he's not a shade of the player which he once was, but I don't know if his legs gone in terms of.
I mean, he's still got the pace. He's pretty much just he's more like a Traore now. It's just all legs and nothing else.
Yeah. Absolutely spot on there, mate. Obviously, Dan's links are in the description as well. But Dan, just shout out your channel and where everyone can find you and what shows you got coming up this week and obviously this coming year, mate.
Yeah, so I've got some plans in the pipeline, maybe doing some work outside the stadium potentially, speaking to fans, getting people on, doing some quizzes and things like that. Some Premier League content, doing some Premier League predictions every Friday nowadays. So it'd be good to get people on and get their predictions in and things. And yeah, most of tomorrow I am pretty much on the majority of Liverpool fan channels, doing my own match previews. And either way, I'm looking forward to it. I'm enjoying it, sticking my head into something, making sure that my head's not up my arse, that's where it's usually, if it's not up my arse, it's usually on a pillar. So it's either a pillar, my arse, or on YouTube. So they're the three. However, yeah, you can find me at Turf Moorhouse on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and Twitter, or Turf Moorhouse TV. Take your pick. If you want to add the TV, go for it.
Add them on everything.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Oh, yeah, actually, I tell a lie. I've actually delved into TikTok now as well.
Oh, I've got to sign up to this, Dan. Hang on, I need to add it after the show, mate. Have you just started it, or?
I've literally just started it, yeah. So there's 2 videos on where Pope's save from Cavani's header and the goal from the equaliser from us against United is on there. So
I was going to say, you got any planned dances?
I might do. I mean, on my personal one,
well. Yeah,
my personal one. There's a couple of funny ones. So it's decent enough. I do like doing the funny ones. I'm none of this like flaming savage love. Did somebody? I'm none of that crap.
Not even people paid us £1 million. I don't think you'd see any of me or you doing that. But thank you very much for coming on, Dan. Obviously, he's a very
No, it's
busy
been a
lad.
blast. Thanks very much for having me.
You're welcome, mate. Make sure everyone, you do head over to Dan's channel, subscribe and everything, and obviously get involved in all of his shows. And yeah, fingers crossed, Dan. Obviously, you do stay up, but obviously, my good mate, thank you very much for coming on. And everyone, thank you for tuning in, watching. If you're watching this on the repeat anyway, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and let me know your thoughts. And obviously, if there's any Burnley fans or Liverpool fans, your score predictions. Dan, I completely forgot about that. Score prediction, if you have to pick one, you can say 3-0 Burnley if you want. Be as positive as you can.
I mean, I've not had a drink, so I'm not going to say 3-0 Burnley. You know what? I've already said it once, and I'll say it again. I think it'll be a very close game. I mean, there's always been pretty much goals in these games between us. So I'm going to say that we give you a fart, but you end up nicking it 3-2.
3-2. Oh, that'd be a good game. Not for us, like for Burnley Liverpool fans, but for a neutral. we had a couple of good high-scoring games last night as well. But thank you very much for coming on, mate, once again. And everyone,
loved it. Cracking channel. Love everything you do, mate. So keep it up.
Thank you very much, mate. Everyone, have a lovely rest of your day, night, wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you very soon. You never walk alone.